大家好, I'm Martin, and this is Short Stories, brought to you by the Taichung Keda Language Center. Today's short story is called The Life of Pi. Now, I was very disappointed to find out that this is not a story about desserts. This is a story about faith, and also the contrast between human and animal nature. Are humans really all that different from animals? I don't know. Well, before I read the story, I will read the vocabulary and vocabulary example sentences. After I finish the story, I will read 4 listening comprehension questions to check if you were listening. Okay, let's begin. Vocabulary. Official. Official. City officials decided to increase the size of the police force in order to stop crime. Interview. Interview. The company boss interviewed dozens of people for the new job. Sink. Sink. I've dropped my phone into the water and it quickly sank to the bottom. Childhood. Childhood. Mark discovered that he liked drawing early on in his childhood. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, my favorite team lost the game. Drown. Drown. Steve almost drowned in the pool because he doesn't know how to swim. Frightening. Frightening. Mary has found spiders frightening ever since one climbed up her leg when she was a child. Satisfy. Satisfy. The woman's doubt was satisfied by her husband's explanation. Replace. Replace. Michael had to replace the flat tire with a new one. Sailor. Sailor. Ben's father was a sailor who spent a lot of time away from home at sea. Believable. Believable. Your story isn't believable. What really happened? Praise. Praise. Sarah's parents praised her when she helped look after her little sister. Survive. Survive. To everyone's relief, Frank survived the bad car accident. Canned. Canned. Canned food lasts longer than fresh food. Eventually. Eventually. The trip took longer than it should have, but we eventually made it. Temporarily. Temporarily. Howard is staying at his friend's house temporarily until he finds his own apartment. Conversation. Conversation. We had a great conversation over lunch the other day. Now for the story. 2 officials from the Japanese Ministry of Transport once interviewed a man named Pi. They asked him about a ship he was on years ago. The ship had sunk, and the officials were trying to learn how it happened. Pi started at the very beginning. Pi was born in India and spent his childhood in the town of Pondicherry. Pi's father ran a zoo in Pondicherry. Through his work, he taught Pi all about the dangerous nature of animals. He even fed a live goat to a tiger named Richard Parker before Pi's very eyes. Because of this, Pi learned that he should never consider animals his friends. One day, Pi's family decided to move to Canada. They set sail in a cargo ship, carrying many cages of their zoo animals. Unfortunately, the ship encountered a large storm while at sea and began to sink. All of the passengers tried to get off the ship. Pi was separated from his family. He climbed aboard a lifeboat and saved Richard Parker from drowning. Before Pi's lifeboat took off, a zebra, an orangutan, and a hyena all rushed onto it as well. Later, the storm finally ended. However, Pi was alone on a lifeboat with the animals in the middle of the ocean. The animals began fighting, though. The hyena killed both the zebra and the orangutan, and then Richard Parker killed the hyena. Now it was just Pi and the tiger. At this point, Pi started to wonder whether saving Richard Parker's life in the first place was a mistake. Over time, Pi learned to survive on canned water and emergency rations from the lifeboat. He also provided whatever fish he was able to catch for Richard Parker and trained him. Dehydration eventually became a problem, though, and Pi became temporarily blind. During this time, he happened to meet another blind castaway. They shared stories and talked about food. After their conversation, the blind man attacked Pi, trying to eat him. Fortunately, Richard Parker came to the rescue and killed the blind man. Not long after the attack, Pi's lifeboat landed on a strange island where the trees don't need soil to grow. He decided to stay on the island with Richard Parker. One day, Pi discovered human teeth in one of the tree's fruit. He found it frightening and concluded that the island must eat people. Pi and Richard Parker headed back out to the sea until they finally washed up on a Mexican beach. Before Pi fell unconscious, he remembered seeing Richard Parker run off. Pi finished telling the Japanese officials his story. However, it did not satisfy the men. Pi decided to tell it again, only this time he replaced the animals with humans. There was a cook instead of the hyena, a sailor rather than the zebra, and his own mother was there instead of the orangutan. The officials found the second version of the story more believable. They ended the interview by praising Pi for living with an adult tiger. Now the questions. Question 1. Where was Pi from? A. Mexico. B. Japan. C. India. D. Taiwan. The answer is C. India. Question 2. What was Pi's father's attitude toward animals? A. Wary. B. Relaxed. C. Carefree. D. Hateful. The answer is A. Wary. He did not hate the animals, but he was very careful around them because he believed them to be very dangerous. Question 3. Who saved Richard Parker? A. The blind man. B. The zebra. C. Pi. D. Pi's father. The answer is C. Pi saved Richard Parker. Question 4. In the second version of Pi's story, he replaced all the animals with people. Who most likely is the human version of Richard Parker? A. Pi's mother. B. Pi's father. C. Pi. D. The Japanese official. Well, it's obviously not D. The Japanese official was not there. Pi's mother was the orangutan, and Pi's father seems to disappear from the story. The best answer is C. Pi himself. That would imply that Pi saved himself from the sinking ship, he saved himself from the blind man, and he saved himself from the island. And it explains how he was able to live with that tiger, and also why that tiger mysteriously disappeared when he reached Mexico. So Pi is the most likely answer. That is the end of today's short story. It's actually one of my favorite stories. I have read the book and it's quite good. I have also seen the Ang Lee movie and I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching. I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.